Okay, light novel readers, you're gonna have to chill a little bit. I'm a light novel reader as well, but let's just be 100% real with each other real quick. I'm sorry, anime onlys, I just gotta address something. Yes, there was a chapter cut this episode, but let's be real. It's not that important, okay? Yes, there was an important character introduction, but they can put that somewhere else. Just be thankful, at the very least, they decided to showcase a brief little summary of it. The author even went out of his way to state, I apologize for the cut content within this episode. Truthfully, the story of this arc, the Underworld arc, should be 5 cours long, but this is only going to be 4 cours long, which is only going to be airing for an entire year. So obviously something had to be cut, and if anything had to be cut, it had to be this. So, honestly, I think people need to stop complaining, okay? Don't complain about that arc, the little arc of seeing the sword fights and stuff with Kirito and all that, getting cut. It's not really that important. Now that that's been said, let's talk about this episode. Now, the first thing I want to get into is the glorious, glorious nostalgia of Kirito getting his own sword. Now, I can't be the only one that noticed that the sword he received in that moment, when he got it, and it was made by the blacksmith, and he picked it up, and he unsheathed it, it was very similar to his original sword he used in SAO, the first arc, the first season. It was very reminiscent, and you could see that Kirito, in that moment, he noticed that. He felt the nostalgia in it, and he's like, whoa, this blade reminds me of my original blade. I really love how that scene was done, and I think many are kind of going to overlook that scene compared to everything else that kind of happened within this episode, but honestly, that scene just really it really gave me nostalgia, and it made me really happy just to see how much art and animation was put into it. Kirito's, fighting style, his sword style that he apparently has been showing his mentor. Now, she's like, it's very obvious that you've been holding back or hiding something from me this entire year. You have not shown me everything that you can possibly do. And in all honesty, that is definitely the case, because we know for a fact Kirito has a few things that he could easily show and not many people would really understand. For instance, think about what he did in the first arc, season 1 or the first arc of the light novel and all that. He is very, very good at dual wielding, holding 2 blades. And we also know that he's able to make his own combo, Starburst Stream, and he just starts, attacking with multiple hit combos. We saw this. That was one of his go-to moves, his finishing moves, that was just insane. And obviously, he hasn't really shown that at all. And he even states in this episode that the sword, the rose sword that he's been using, like the blue rose sword that, Yugioh has, he can't really use his main combos. Like, he couldn't even go over, 5 or whatever. So, it shows he wasn't able to go to his full extent with his skill with the sword because of just the limitations of the weapons he's using. But that does say a lot, though. He has not been able to use what he once had, and he still needs to get to that level. But that's the crazy part about this, just that Kirito, he still has yet to use his signature move, and obviously his mentor is very aware of this, very aware that he is someone that is capable of a lot more, he's not showing it. Now anyways, let's also talk about the situation with the incarnation system, or just being able to have the resolve to overpower the laws of the world itself. Now, I know many are going to look at this entire segment of the episode and talk about, oh, this is obviously plot armor, this is obviously going to be a plot device to give, Kirito a power-up out of nowhere, but I kind of want to backtrack and talk about a few things that's been established already in this series for a very long time, and it's been there since the first arc of the story. It's never really been properly dived into until this point of the series, even in the light novel, but it's always been there. The presence of what's about to be explained has always been there, and that is, like I said, having the resolve to overpower the laws of the world itself. Let's think about the final battle between, Kayaba and Kirito. When they went up against each other and they were fighting, Kirito was literally in mid-death. When he was dying, he got KO'd, and he was getting killed by Kayaba, and he was about to just literally disintegrate, and it was going to be game over for him. He attacked Kayaba back, and he wiped him out. And this was stated in the light novel that he should have been stunned. He should not have been able to do anything. But in that moment, he overpowered the system and did something that he should not have been able to do, and in that moment, Kaiba smiled back, and, obviously Kirito won SAO, and he freed everybody. It's a scene that many might not think too much about. They might look at that scene and think like, oh, plot armor. Oh, it's a power-up just to, be able to conclude the story and have a happy ending. And maybe in that moment, the writer actually wanted that. Maybe that was really the case to kind of just conclude the arc and didn't really put too much thought into it. But in this, it's obviously there's been a lot of setup for that for this very moment, that entire system of being able to overpower the, system has been there. It's been very present. But we could see it's probably going to be useful going forward now because of just that statement in this episode. So, Kirito, it won't be just him being able to probably use this. It'll be any of the NPCs or these AI in this series that's able to use that ability and be able to probably do something, as long as if they have the resolve, the emotion, and, just the determination to be able to press forward without giving up, to have full confidence within themselves to be able to achieve something. So yeah, there you go. Now, that is one thing I think many are going to really love about this arc, and it's one of the reasons why I really like the Underworld arc, is because it's finally giving clarity to some of the issues that was actually in the original arcs, because honestly, like I said, when you first look at it, it looks like just a power-up or something for Kirito just to win, or Asuna to win, to get up, or whatever, but obviously that is not just the only thing going on there. It's very relevant to the story, and in fact, actually, this little detail of overpowering the system is actually directly tied into ASO World. If you've, like I've already mentioned quite a few times in my episode reviews of Sword Art Online Season 3 and even Season 2, in Season 3, there is direct links to ASO World, and especially in the Underworld arc and all that, of how in ASO World, you have it to where they can overpower the laws of the world itself, even reality, to basically slow down time. So, yeah, there you go. Pretty crazy stuff. I do just like how finally we're getting some development for that. So, okay, what to talk about? Okay, so let's talk about what Kirito and Yugioh is doing now. For instance, their next move, and how far they have come. So we had a time skip. Now, like I already stated at the beginning of this video, there was an arc skipped, but it's not really that important. Don't concern yourself too much. I think by now everybody knows how I love the light novels of miniseries, and when something skipped, I get a little bit upset, but if I'm saying it's okay, do not worry. The only thing, like I said, is one important character introduction, which could be added in. But there was a time skip. And once again, we gotta remember that time flows very differently in this world compared to the real world. For instance, as we know, 3 weeks in our reality, or Kirito's main world, as 3 weeks passed, 300 years passed within this world. So we do know that technically, even though Kirito's body isn't aging, you can kind of say his mind is aging. He's living a very long time inside of his mind. It feels like years are going by, even though in reality his body is staying a certain age. It's kind of interesting to think about how much time has already passed within this world compared to the outside. By comparison, most likely the outside, it's only been maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, but to him it feels like it's been a year or two. That's crazy. That's really crazy to think about, just how much time really just goes on by in this world. So, let's also talk about the situation with Kirito and what he's doing in terms of being like a page, being someone that is like a call boy for his mentor. He is someone that's currently training under one of the top 3 individuals, and he's currently training for the second one, like the second strongest, and she has incredible resolve. She honestly has never been able to defeat the first tier person, even though she has so much resolve, and Kirito has never been able to touch her, which, as we know, that's incredible, but at the same time, we know that he's never used probably dual wielding at all against her, which is one of the probably key reasons why he's not able to achieve much at all. But still, the point stands is that she's incredibly powerful, he's learning from her, and we do know that this world works a little bit differently compared to how SAO was, because it feels like real life in this world, even though it does, follow the logic of RPGs, you can level up, hold weapons a lot easier if you get stronger, it doesn't change the fact that, you still need to get good with holding a blade, because it's like real life. I mean, he feels pain, he feels exhaustion, he sleeps, he feels everything, so obviously, he needs to get used to holding a sword. He can't just use sword arts, he also needs to be able to wield a sword and hold it properly, and that's what he's been learning. So Kirito is becoming a better swordsman than he was in the past. That's saying a lot. So imagine when he finally holds 2 blades. Anyways, Yugioh as well. He's been, training underneath an individual as well. And he's getting quite stronger, and he actually pops up a very interesting question towards Kirito. He's like, Kirito, if you remember everything, like if memories come back, are you gonna leave me? And it's a very interesting question, because we know, as the audience, that Kirito doesn't really have much better to do. He just wants to help out Yugioh and all of that, just see what's going on with Alice. But from Yugioh's perspective, since he doesn't really know everything or what's really going on or even how the world works, because, Kirito knows he's from another world, he's in the dark, and he's just very concerned because he has his own calling. He's got a new calling to be a swordsman, and if Kirito remembers his old calling, he might just get up and leave, and Yugioh will be left behind, and he doesn't want to feel like that. He doesn't want to feel alone anymore. You can see how that really affects him, and you can see as an AI, even though he might not be like a human being, he acts very much like one, because he is feeling lonely. He doesn't want to be like that. He wants to be able to have someone beside him where he can continue to work towards his goal of eventually saving Alice. So that's a great moment to really just show what type of person Yugioh is and how Kirito is going to be there for him. And like I've already said, this is going to be a very different take on SEO compared to what we're used to, because normally it's always Kirito going in and being the savior, being the main hero, and, just getting everything handled like that, but he's actually having to work for things. And in this case, Yugioh is also very, very much like an MC as well to this story. It's not just Kirito. Yugioh is pretty much an MC of this arc, so you cannot throw him away and say, oh, it's only Kirito, but he's also very important as well. I mean, there's a reason why they're both on the cover of the light novels and why they're kind of very similar in design, and they both are swordsmen and all that. Maybe one day Yugioh might surpass his master, which is Kirito. Okay, so, anything else left to really talk about? Let's think here. I guess the match at the end and the flower scene. So, Kirito, he's been, working on flowers for about a year now. Which, honestly, when you think about Kirito and flowers, that doesn't seem like that would make much sense. Because, I mean, look, Kirito is a gamer, and on top of that, he loves swordsmanship, fights, and stuff. So, him doing something as passive as, keeping up flowers, making them healthy and all that, that doesn't sound like a gamer to me. Especially since technically this world is very much like real life, and it's a very mundane task, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting down gardeners or anything. I mean, planting, flowers and different plants, vegetables and stuff, I know it has its own merit and it's great and it can be very refreshing, but it's amazing to see someone like Kirito doing something like that, and he actually thinks he enjoys it. He actually kind of likes doing it, and he wants to have these flowers as a gift to his mentor to give to her when she finally graduates. It's pretty cool. It's just really nice of Kirito to do something like that. It's a little bit of characterization to him to show that he's not just all about, being about computers, technology, but he does have a green thumb. He's able to plant things. So, when he finally does, leave this world, he gets with Asuna and all that, he might be able to create a garden for her, and, they can keep it up and have their own fresh vegetables, fruits, and stuff like that. It's pretty cute to think about. But okay, the final segment begins a match between Kirito and, the person Volvo or whatever, or Volo. But forgive me if I'm mispronouncing. But basically, he's beginning a match because he made him angry. But it's honestly very minor what Kirito did. It was an accident. Obviously, Kirito was showing respect to the man. Honestly, when you look at that entire segment, Kirito was showing the absolute most respect he could to the dude. He started bowing to him. He got on his knees real quickly. He started saying the correct, pronouns and all that towards the man. But the man still was very angry, and he just looked down upon Kirito. He's like, let's have a match. And you could just see how he actually wants to put physical harm on Kirito with a real sword. That's insane. It just shows what type of danger Kirito is in right now. But I do like, Kirito's sass or his snark towards the dude. He's like, look, it's my punishment. You get to choose what you want. Either we call it right before we hit each other with the swords, or we actually have to have a point, which means they would have to have a blow against each other with a real sword. He's like, I'll let you call it and all that. It's your decision since this is my punishment. Basically calling the man out, saying, whatever you choose, it's your choice. So if something looks bad or makes you look bad, it's your fault. So there you go. But yeah, great episode. I enjoyed it, start to finish. I think, once again, the complaints that some people have is a little bit unwarranted. I don't think people should worry about it too much, and just look forward to what's to come. I love you guys. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.